Well, for those of you who watch Outdoors Delmarva from week to week, you know that we love sharing your outdoors videos and pictures. But when we showed a video featuring Pete Cooper of Salisbury a couple of weeks ago, we knew it wasn't quite enough to really capture his most recent adventure, considering it's taken him 100 years to get around to.
Let's start it off at the end, if you will, or at least the end of the show, where we first introduced you to Pete Cooper, as featured on the Outdoors Delmarva Viewer Venture Cam.
Way to go, Pete, and here's to the next 100 years of adventures.
Okay, stop it there and take a look. That is the face of a man who enjoys life.
Eastern Shore is a unique place. Lived here basically my home place all my life. And I certainly have enjoyed it.
In August of 1910, Pete Cooper came into the world and doesn't plan on leaving anytime soon. From his youth on a farm outside of Salisbury, to college at the University of Maryland, to a stint with the Seabees in the South Pacific during World War II, Pete was already well-traveled by the time he reached his early 20s.
But at that time, the Japanese were getting ready to wreak havoc on Pearl Harbor. So I figured if it's anything that I had the capability of doing, I better do it rather than worry about it.
When his service ended and he returned to Maryland, his profession as an engineer took him to places that have since been used to take millions of others places. Among his professional accomplishments on Delmarva alone include repairing the former Ocean City Bridge, heavily damaged by the hurricane of 1933, and the eventual construction of the new Route 50 bridge. And before that, the bridge across the Chop Tank in Dorchester County, long since replaced, but a structure still used today by fishermen as the Bill Burton Fishing Pier.
I feel good about it. I think it's excellent use. Rather than tear it down, which costs a lot of money, or just have it sit there, it's a good resource.
Over the years, Pete and the love of his life, his wife Dorothy, raised a family and traveled. And to this day, Pete continues to travel to places like the Outer Banks. And now back to the story we started to tell on Outdoors Delmarva.
For weeks, we've been hearing about a special adventure in the works in Wicomico County.
After a life so rich with adventure, it was a shock to some of Pete's friends from Rotary Club that in 100 years, Pete had never explored much of the gem that breathed so much life into the city he helped create, the Wicomico River.
He has never gone down the Wicomico River all the way to the Chesapeake Bay. So we're going to do that today for Pete.
And to make sure he didn't wait another century, a boat was readied and this milestone cruise began. For 20 miles, taking in the scenery past a landscape that has both changed and in many cases remained similar to what it would have looked like during Pete's childhood.
So there were large tracts of land with beautiful homes all along the way, which I enjoyed. And our boat captain knew every one of them and would explain in some detail what they were, and so it increased my interest and knowledge of the Wicomico River, even though I'd lived here all these years and not traveled it.
For a Salisbury man so connected to the city, the crossroads of Delmarva, how could this backyard excursion be placed on the back burner for so long? Well, for someone who's reached the age of 100, the real question may be, what's the big hurry?
Why I waited that long, I don't know.